Sounds like a plan.
Welcome to Sports Econ 101. You know our show. It's
Back again.
Back again.
Yeah.
You betcha.
And Vernon's ready to go.
All the tryptophan out of the system. Hey, it's full speed ahead.
Give me some of that pumpkin pie spice latte chai.
You know what? I've never been a pumpkin guy.
Really?
Yeah, just
You gotta try
pumpkin
it.
pie.
You gotta have
Pumpkin,
some
just
good
not
pumpkin pie.
really.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Cream and all that.
Yeah.
So let's just tell people what who are we?
Who are we?
I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my
You are?
co-host. I am.
Okay.
Of CBS affiliate.
I was wondering who this guy was.
Indeed.
In San Francisco, and well-known radio sports personality Bruce McGowan.
At your service.
There you go. And we talk about sports topics from a business perspective. plus
Because
some other
this
fun.
is Sports Econ 101.
That's right.
right.
That's right.
Now, at each commercial break, we're going to be asking a sports trivia question. We're giving away vacations to the first 3 emails with the correct answer. Vacation is not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina. And let's see here. The theme is from athlete to actor.
Okay.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. The segue to Hollywood.
Yeah, I like that.
And let's see. Anything specific, you guys, before we cut out on our first
We were
break here?
just talking a second ago, because this is, again, this is a national show, but we all work out of the Bay Area, and we were talking a little bit about the dysfunction, the increasing dysfunction that exists within the 49er organization. And Vern, I know you covered it very closely, and we're just wondering if Jim Harbaugh is going to survive after this season. He's got one more year on the contract. What do you think?
That's the
Or
number
he's
one
gonna get
question.
traded.
Yeah.
Alright, so when we get back,
Yes.
we'll
That's
get
the
right back into
that, and then I guess if you're listening on the East Coast, you're kind of wondering what's up with Coach Ryan and the New York Jets.
Yeah. Wow.
Some more good stuff. Okay, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding, get this, over 8%.
Where do I sign up?
So, yeah, secured by real estate. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. And stay with us because you are listening to Sports Econ 101, which, by the way, when you listen to ESPN, they say, we'll be right back.
We're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere.
We're here all the way.
That's right.
Well, ESPN, that's the mothership. They can say what they want.
Yeah,
That's
they
true.
can.
Stay
That's
with
true.
us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. I was purposely listening for them.
Oh, I know.
We'll be right back.
It was just one of Bob Agnew's little pet
Well,
peeves. He always
that's
did
him.
Yeah, where'd that land? Where'd that land him?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he's down in Southern California. Actually, he's doing okay. He's, at a small station, but he's happy.
Let's see. Got this.
Right.
December 6th.
Sorry, I missed you guys a couple weeks ago. I had a good
Yeah.
time filling in over at. I did a bunch of days last week too. KGO, that was fun. Yeah, it's a good place to work. They're going through some trials and tribulations, but they'll make it through. Too big a station.
And we're going to be doing two shows again back to back.
Oh, okay.
When?
Cool.
December 9th and 16th.
Okay. Shouldn't be a
Yeah,
problem.
Two shows on the 9th and 2 shows on the 16th?
Yeah, so that's next week.
Shouldn't be a problem.
But then we're off for the next week.
Next week we do too?
Yeah.
Okay. That's perfect.
9th, 16th. Oh, yeah, then we're done for 2014.
Yeah.
14. Yeah.
2014 is almost over.
Eva wants me to take her to Mexico ball.
Where would you go?
Go to Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, that's right. That's where I proposed to my wife.
There you go.
Puerto
That's a
Vallarta.
good place.
Yeah. Can't remember the name of the restaurant though. We were up on the hill and it was, the lights and the music and it's just like all of a sudden there came.
Something about getting down on one knee that the women love that.
Oh, I should
Of
have
course,
done
Eva
it.
makes me do that every time she wants me to say I'm sorry too.
We're the highest restaurant in Puerto Vallarta. That's where I did it.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
You too.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell Eva that, and then she'll say, "Come on, propose again."
Yeah.
It's been 25 years. Do it again.
There you go.
Okay. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn.
America, how you doing?
And Bruce McGowan.
Yes, sir.
Okay, when we we cut to the first commercial break, but when we said we were going to come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Think he's going to get traded?
It's a fascinating possibility, and it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. At the same time, though, anything is possible. Vern, I don't know how you feel about this. I heard an interesting report today. How about Jim Harbaugh back to his alma mater in Michigan, where he would have complete control and not have to deal with the general manager? Now, granted, he deal with the politics of intercollegiate athletics, which is tough enough, but no general manager to have to clash with.
Well, a couple of things just blow holes in the whole, is he going to get traded standpoint. First of all, he holds all the cards. He can decide whether he wants to go somewhere or not. He's got another year
No trade clause
on his contract.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he can make that decision to veto or green light a scenario like that. The second problem is this. If you did trade him, it would cost whatever team you trade him to draft picks. Could be a first rounder, could be a second rounder. If you're Jim Harbaugh, why would you agree to be traded to a team where once you get started, you don't have any draft picks?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
You're talking he might get traded to
To the Raiders. Well, you remember the Raiders traded John Gruden away.
Wait, though. You're talking
years ago.
saying going back to Michigan, though? But
That's another possibility.
For him
That's
to go
another
to Michigan, he'd have to A, resign, or
Yeah.
B, be fired.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're just not going to give back money, and that's pretty good coin on what he's making. I know he wants more money, probably deserves it, but the fact remains he is under contract for another year.
And I think the Michigan scenario kind of pales because, from what I understand, his wife really likes it here.
From here.
Yeah, she's from here. It's interesting. You look at Jim Harbaugh this year. The team is played. It's underachieved. But granted, the injuries that team has had this year have been devastating. The offensive line has just been blown up. Jonathan Goodwin, an All-Pro, left as a free agent. Anthony Davis, an All-Pro, out with concussions. They're going with guys like Jonathan Martin and a rookie at center.
And then you have the Ray McDonald situation.
Yeah, and you have the Alden Smith situation, and Navarro Bowman hasn't come back, and you're going with new. It's amazing to me that they are 7-5, and I hear all of this nonsense about how Colin Kaepernick is to blame for all this. Yeah, he's part of the problem, but the big problem is they've had injuries that would devastate most teams.
But speaking of Colin Kaepernick, in that system for however long it's been, can you honestly say that he has progressed as a quarterback?
No, yes.
Well, why hasn't that happened? Usually, when you're in a system like that, and where you get better as a quarterback, and I can understand what they're trying to do. I mean, they're trying to change his game from being more of a running quarterback to a pocket quarterback, and by doing that, they're hurting themselves because he does not drop back, look first read, second read, third read, and then after 4 seconds, throw the football. He is just not that kind of passer yet.
No.
Now, how much longer do you take for him to evolve like that? That's the big question.
Well, and the problem is you're stuck with him because you signed him to a fairly long-term deal, and there's no real alternative. And this is the problem that fans don't realize sometimes. Get rid of this coach, fire this general manager, cut the quarterback. But what do you have as an alternative most of the time?
Well, it's funny when a player decides to hold out, right? It kind of disrupts things. What happens if a coach says, I don't want my contract anymore, I'm going to hold out? What happens?
I don't know if that's ever happened, has it?
I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah, it would be interesting though, wouldn't it? I don't think a coach would dare do that because the owner would probably just say, "See you later.
Yeah.
We don't need you. We got a system here. We'll find somebody else."
Yeah. A little easier to find. It seems like it's a little easier to find that.
But you find a good coach. I mean, let's face it. Now, Harbaugh, for all his quirks and all his idiosyncrasies and all his problems with the media and problems with Trent Baalke, the general manager, this guy took a program that was in ruins, a 49er team that had been in the depths of despair for 8 years, and overnight turned them into a winner, and they almost won a Super Bowl. So, do you want to get rid of this guy?
Maybe just for really super important games at the very end, just get somebody else in. It seems to call not very good place at the very end of the game.
I think they just had some bad luck. A fumbled punt in the NFC Championship game 3 years ago. Granted, in the Super Bowl, unimaginative play calling when they were down on the goal line, and then finally last year, of course, the tip pass that Richard Sherman made. So, bad luck and bad calls. Yeah, it's a combination.
A couple other things to talk about. If we're kicking it around, imagine what the players are doing inside the locker room because players talk. Hey, what's going on? What'd you hear? Well, I heard this. Well, I get it. There's stuff that's happening inside that we'll never know about. And second of all, you've got a pretty large coaching staff. You start hearing this stuff, you start wondering about, well, where am I gonna coach next year? If Harbaugh goes, then I'm going. Well, and if I'm going, then you start making calls to other team. Hey, what's going on there? It just opens a can of worms. Now, one or two things are going to happen. Either this is going to galvanize the team, where they're just going to just stand united and then just go, or they'll just continue to be fractured and be on the outside looking in a few weeks from now
Okay,
when
so
the playoffs
well,
start.
that brings me to this, which is more college. What's the deal with firing Coach Pelini of Nebraska before they're about to go to a bowl game?
That's happened before.
Yeah, that's happened before.
Yeah, it has happened before. Fortunate, but
The players, though, they didn't seem to be too happy.
I wouldn't be happy about it because this is the guy that brought you in. And
yeah, but why not wait until after the?
Must have been.
Yeah,
some kind of
but we'll never.
rift,
I mean, we'll never know the true story. I mean, obviously there's something internal that
made a
is
pass to
going
his
on.
wife or something.
Could have been something that was,
Well, you just look at the Arkansas program. Remember, they brought a young lady into the athletic department, and then the head coach starts, carrying on with her. Then all of a sudden everything's exposed, and then he's out of a job, and then it can happen.
Human behavior. It's unfortunate. You get back to the 49ers, the tweeting by Jed York, saying this was unacceptable, and then the daughter of Trent Baalke, the general manager, saying Greg Roman is out of here.
That's a good point because we all have kids. A lot of times, things that they say or think, they've heard in the home.
Yeah.
So if Cassie Baalke is at home,
the daughter,
and here's her dad, Trent, the general manager, just going off on this guy and that guy, it's going to obviously sink in.
Yeah.
And then when the 49ers keep losing, and just the fact that she named the offensive coordinator by name, saying the team doesn't want you anymore. I mean, what does that tell you?
It's not a good thing. And then, of course, to complicate everything, they have the NBC or CBS or whoever was carrying them. I can't even remember who carries the Sunday night game. They move it around so much. But Al Michaels should have said something about it. They set up a table out in the middle of the field with turkey and trimmings. That was just so low class. It was a circus.
Well, there's an army of producers, and obviously this was prearranged.
Oh, I know.
That hey, we're going to do it here.
It was embarrassing.
But to put it on the logo of the 50-yard line at Levi Stadium, and of all people to sit down and have a Thanksgiving dinner, Richard Sherman.
And to his credit, who was it? Michelle Tafoya kept trying to bait him into saying something, and he wouldn't.
No, because he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he kept a kind of
He's a
low
smart
profile.
guy. Did you see the press conference he had earlier in the week when he brought up the cardboard cutout of one of his teammates? He was actually standing behind it, but they just made a mockery of the National Football League, trying to promote safeness and then sending these guys out there, just being glorified gladiators.
How do you like Marshawn Lynch with his interview?
Oh, that was embarrassing too. Yes,
Lynch is just playing it out. Trust me, he'll be a Raider before it's said and done.
Now I heard there's one player on the Raiders actually. I think it's Marcel Reese who refuses to do interviews unless he gets paid. Is that right, Vernon?
That I don't know. I haven't heard that.
Now, I'd heard that.
Reese is not one of the guys that we talk to midweek. Anyway, he's one of these guys, kind of scare us in the Raider locker room. But he's when we've had him on, he's been a pretty good interview.
Great guy. I'm surprised that that's true.
I would think it's in the contract. You've got to allow yourself to be interviewed.
I would think so.
Well, it's a league mandate. Every Wednesday, it's media day. You have to make yourself available.
But how many, as well as I, how many guys do make themselves available?
All right, so we're going to cut to our first commercial break. And again, the theme is From Athlete to Actor. This former Los Angeles player starred in his own television series as well as a few appearances on the TV show Cheers. Who was this football player? The first three, when I say former Los Angeles, he played with the Rams. Okay. The first three emails with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Email edward@sportsecon101.com the answer to this question. This former Los Angeles Ram starred in his own television series as well as a few appearances on the TV show Cheers. Who was this football player? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101 is going to be right back.
It's either Fred Dryer or Merlin Olsen.
Fred Dryer. That's
Merlin Olsen. He had his own show too.
They both did. That's a good one. And on Cheers, I would guess Fred Dryer.
It's the same.
Same guy had his own series, and then he had a guest appearance on Cheers.
I'm saying Merlin Olsen doesn't strike me as a guy who would have a guest appearance on Cheers.
Fred Dryer would be more.
Yeah, because he's kind of
Chancellor, whoever it was, went up against the Sam Malone character.
Yeah. Wasn't he a Mormon? Merlin Olsen, I think he was.
That I don't know.
Really? He was.
Remember, he was the original FTD Flowers.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, that's right. I always remember when he and the Fearsome Foursome they went on Hullabaloo, which was a show popular in the '60s, a dance show, music show, and they got out there and did this dance routine. And
that's where Jim McMahon for the Bears.
Yeah, the three other guys, Lamar Lundy, Rosie Greer, and Deacon Jones are all, they had the moves. Here's
funny.
poor old Merlin.
Oh,
He's got no moves at all. The other guys are just rolling their eyes. Merlin, my God, come on. We should have given you a lesson or two.
Yeah, who was the who was the guy who played for the Cardinals Monday Night Football? He had a list. The guy
Dan Deere?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember having a list.
Yeah, he kind of talked a little bit. Yeah, he had a little bit of a speech impediment.
Oh, interesting.
And boy, apparently he and
Turned
Merlin.
a nice
Merlin
long
also
career.
He and Merlin Olsen didn't get along, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's hard to believe. They're both really nice guys.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's some issue going on there. I mean, obviously, long.
Well, maybe they went head to head against each other because Deerdorf was an offensive lineman and the other guy's a defensive. Yeah, must have been.
All right, we're just coming along. Sports Econ 101 is back. Edward Brown.
Burn Glenn.
Bruce McGowan.
There we go. We can't tell the players without a scorecard. Okay, here was our first trivia question. From athlete to actor, this former Los Angeles Rams player starred in his own TV series as well as a few appearances on the TV show Cheers. Who was this football player?
I think Vernon had this one. I thought Merlin Olsen maybe, but then Merlin Olsen didn't strike me as the kind of character who would have been.
Well, you stick with Merlin Olsen. I'll go Fred Dryer.
It was Fred Dryer.
Yeah,
all right,
That's
okay.
Do you
That made more
Do
sense.
you remember the TV show?
Some kind of cop show.
Some cop show, PI type thing. Hunter. There you go.
Yeah.
Merlin Olsen was on Little House
on the Prairie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he played some kind of father or somebody.
Yeah.
Father
Okay.
Murphy?
I think so.
Father Murphy. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Father
Okay.
Murphy.
Just a quick little thing here. Will the 76ers win any games?
Ooh, wow. Dangerously close to
Yeah.
tying the record, I believe.
Well,
I think they won off.
By the time this
This airs, we'll know for sure.
Yeah. Can you imagine what it's like playing on that team right now? And that's a great basketball town. That's one of America's great basketball towns.
Sure,
It must be-
Julius Irving must be hanging
Oh,
so
my
well. And of course, he's
goodness.
not playing.
I mean, they've won a couple of titles there back in the 80s, and of course with the Warriors back in the 50s.
Don't the 76ers have the NBA record for worst season
Nine
record?
and 73.
1972, whatever like that?
Yeah, they were 9 and 73, and just a few years before that, they had one of the best records of all time. I think they won something like 68 games with Wilt Chamberlain and
Doesn't
Al
Allen,
Greer.
doesn't Allen Iverson want to come back?
I bet he'd love to.
We gotta get him on the show. He'd be an interesting
I bet he
guest.
misses those checks.
You ever talk to Allen Iverson?
Once.
Yeah,
Once.
at the All-Star.
I was working in the Baltimore market at the time.
Okay.
Did you tower over him? Because he's not that big.
He's kind of skinny too.
He's taller than you think.
Yeah,
When you go 5'2", everybody's taller than me.
I
Yeah.
remember talking to him at the All-Star game. He was really interesting. Interesting man. Great player. I mean, he got the most out of his career.
And honest to a fault. And not to change the subject, speaking of honest to a fault. Did you have a chance to look at Rex Ryan's press conference after the Jet loss?
No.
I mean, he's just so deeply honest about how they're just not a very good football team and they can't do this, that, and he puts all the blame on himself. I hope the Jets don't get rid of him, but I would understand it if they did. But whatever team gets him is going to get one hell of a defense coordinator.
He's a great.
That's another. You talk about Jim Harbaugh. That's a place where Jim Harbaugh could go.
That's a
Because
possibility.
that's a place that could give up enough draft pick. That or the Giants.
How do you think
He
he'd
could
handle
coach either one of them.
How do you think he'd handle the New York media though?
Same way he handles it out here. Just not giving you anything.
I love the turkey jive gobbler routine. That he had. That
Gobble, jive, gobble. Yep.
Yeah. He's a character.
You guys are funny. LaGarrett Blount. Will the Patriots be able to control him?
Well, they have so far. He's got a second chance, Edward.
Yeah.
He wouldn't blow it this time. I feel bad, and the Patriot system is so strong. They can have a back, have a 200-yard game, and then the next week get one carry for 4 yards, and then the next week not play at all because you get LaGarrett Blount and you stick him in there, and Blunt's getting all the carries.
And from what I understand, his teammates are thrilled to have him back. I heard that.
He's a really
why
good
not?
back.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, you want a guy like that back in your team.
That's just a lesson to the other fellow who slept through a practice, did not wake up, and that's what you get, man.
And it's interesting though, when Tom Brady retires, what's going to happen there? I mean, Joe Montana retired, and there was a little bit of a hiccup because Steve Young was hurt his first year as a starter in 1991.
Steve Bono was there.
Steve Bono took over. They barely missed the playoffs, but then they were almost at the same level and actually were at a high level. Won the Super Bowl in '94. So will they be able to find a guy who can fit that system that Belichick or whoever succeeds Belichick, if he decides to retire, can work with? And it'll be interesting because the Patriots have, as you mentioned, they have a system. You just plug a player in there and you find the right guy and it works.
Well, isn't Gronkowski? I mean, how old is he?
He's young.
Not that old.
Yeah, he's young.
By the way, did you see that play he made where he caught the ball and bounced off a couple of guys like a little Indian rubber ball?
Still stuck with it.
Yeah. Oh, he's tough.
Not quite Odell Beckham, but he'll take it.
That was a great game against Green
That's
Bay.
the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
I was going to ask you guys, greatest catch. Where does that one line up?
That's right up at the top. I mean, falling back, you reach up. One hand, not one fingers. Two or three fingers.
Yeah. Well, he's got the long fingers, though.
Yeah.
He does that. How about the catch that David Tyree made? Now, that guy's not in football anymore, against his helmet that kept the drive going. That was a great catch. But this one, the guy was falling back, and he catches the ball with one hand.
That was just incredible.
Yeah, it was. I guess it's interesting because people talk about like greatest catches, and if there's a really important catch like Tyree, I mean that really saved the Super Bowl for the Giants. Then you have the catch for the 49ers, Dwight Clark, which was a good catch, but nothing like Odell. I kind of tend to.
Well, I'll say this: if it wasn't the greatest catch, certainly the most spectacular catch I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think the one that I've seen outside of the catch that you're talking about Dwight Clark made. How about the catch that Terrell Owens made, where he got hammered by two defensive backs
to win the Packer
win a Packer game in the playoffs in 1998? That was amazing. That was amazing.
And I was going to say that with Odell, it's for him to come down in bounds. I mean, he just barely was in bounds.
We've been hearing about this guy, though. I'd heard some talk prior to the Niners matchup against them. They were going to see one of the emerging young talents, and obviously this guy is amazing. Yeah.
And who's the one who dropped the ball in Dallas versus Pittsburgh?
That was
Jackie Smith.
Jackie Smith. Okay,
who was a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Despite that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what he's going to be remembered by.
Yeah.
So the Ray Rice versus Adrian Peterson situation. So Adrian is out for 2014, right?
Yes.
Okay. Ray Rice gets to come back, and apparently he's looking for a team and good player. He'll probably get picked up. Is it a little? I'm trying to think of like the comparisons between the two. Why is one guy suspended completely? Is it because there's a child involved?
I think it's because it wasn't there a history of incidents. In the other situation, there's only one specific incident, which was obviously widely seen with the video. But now his wife is standing by him, and he seems like he's getting a little bit more support. Also, maybe, I don't know the political situation.
And he wasn't. Was he ever formally charged?
I don't think so.
I don't think Ray Rice was actually formally charged. The wife did not come forward. I mean,
But that's not needed, though.
I understand.
It's not needed for a formal charge, but
I understand that. But then the league botched the league says they didn't have it. Then it was proven that it did have it, and then Goodell looked so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole country knew that he was lying when he was interviewed on national TV. So there's that, and then a powerful NFL players union backing him. They were just. The league just really didn't have any more cards to play.
Is the union not going to back Peterson?
Well, they've tried, but Peterson, he confessed. He said, "Yes, I did this. And he was charged. He was jailed, and he went to trial. I mean, I just see.
Yeah, that's underscored. The NFL has a lot of problems. I mean, they have problems with the injuries. They have problems with off-field behavior. And yet, at the same time, this league has never been more popular.
I'll bet that a lot of it honestly has to do with the fact that with Adrian Peterson, it's a child who can't speak for himself, so to speak. Whereas with Ray Rice, the injured party is basically saying, listen, I want to absolve my husband of this.
Well, and also there have been more incidents of spousal abuse or violence against women. When it's violence against children, that's kind of really stepping over the line, even if it's your own kid. Well, maybe especially because it's your own kid.
Well, and the graphic pictures, his kid. I mean, the torn genital regions from the whipping, and just, I mean, come on. I mean, there were just
Adrian
no.
must have gone through, because he said he parented the way he was parented.
Well, I remember my best friend, his dad used to break out the paddle, and it wasn't a big deal. But I mean,
I got the switch.
Yeah,
I got the belt.
Yeah.
I mean, not on my bare bum or anything like that, but I got that kind of discipline. I can't do that today.
No.
So.
You know what? I gotta say, you called it the paddle, right?
Yeah, the paddle.
We used a wooden spoon.
Yeah.
But I tell you, you do it when they're young. You try not to do it in anger, and you only have to do it like once or twice.
And then that's it.
And that's it. And then after that, obviously when they're 2 years old, you can't reason with them. But my kids are now. Christian could probably paddle me so big. But
we had a PE teacher named Philip Blade when I was younger, and he had on a chalkboard, these are the rules. You break the rule, you get the paddle. So everybody knows.
And then you could do that.
Then he showed you the paddle,
Yeah.
and he had taken a power drill and had drilled
holes
in the paddle.
Resistance.
Break down the resistance. So
I remember, it's interesting you bring that up. In junior high school, we had a guy named Paul Stevens from a little town in Texas who was an old school Marine guy. And this one kid, I remember he literally chased him around the school. And he had a whole, Pied Piper group of kids following and laughing. Takes the kid, finally catches up, and then puts him over his knee and just bam, bam, bam on his rear end. Just kind of more of a humiliation thing. But like Vernon says, that kind of thing was more common back in the day.
I actually had a teacher hit me with a baseball bat on my head.
Wow.
Whoa!
He did not hard enough to knock me out,
But
just
just
to give me a lump.
Just a temp?
Yeah.
Wow.
And why was it? It was because I was at the drinking fountain for more than 3 seconds. He used to go 1, 2, out, and if he didn't get out,
Wow.
And I thought he was talking to the other guy because he was there longer than I, but something whack.
I know 3 or 4 teachers that would have been.
Yeah, my mom wasn't
kicked
too
out.
happy. Exactly. Now
eighth grade, we had a guy named Mr. Kenyon, and he had a ring.
Ooh.
He was trying to ring us,
Oh, yeah.
and boom, right me on the side of the
Yeah.
head.
that'll
Yeah.
Okay, here's our second trivia question.
Ouch.
Going to a commercial break here. Athlete to actor. An entertainer at heart, this former football player may never have broken into acting if it not for an impressive performance in an Alan Alda movie. What professional player was this? Okay, what football player? All right.
Read it again.
Okay. An entertainer at heart, this former football player may have
NFL player.
NFL player may never have broken into acting if not for an impressive performance in an Alan Alda movie. What professional football player was this? I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame. I can't remember.
Okay.
Maybe I'll look
Alan
that up.
Alda movie, not MASH the TV show.
No.
An Alan Alda
Stay with us.
movie.
Yeah. I think it's in MASH when they had the was it Joe Cap?
But he was in MASH also. He did have an episode.
Deacon Jones, Ray
The same interval player had a spot.
Yeah, let me come back and say that.
Show?
Yeah, let me come back and say that.
He had a spot in MASH?
Yeah. He just a guest appearance.
Guest appearance in an episode of MASH.
Let's see. I remember in the movie it was Joe Cap. Well, Joe Cap was in the one with Burt Reynolds where they were in jail. He was in that one. I always mix those
Joe
two
Cap?
up.
You mean
Joe Cap? Yeah. The former quarterback.
Come on. Longest yard?
Huh? Longest yard. He was in that one. But Ben Davidson was also in.
Longest yard.
Ben Davidson's in there?
Yeah. Ben Davidson was also. Ben Davidson was also in Behind the Green Door with Marilyn Chambers. He played a bodyguard. Yeah, that's the most famous. Probably
I
the most
totally
famous
forgot about
film.
him.
Behind it. Marilyn Chambers.
I don't know this. I'm trying to
Yeah.
wrap my head around the question.
I'll give you one
he was
more
in an Alan
hint
Alda
also.
movie, and he's a former NFL player.
Deacon Jones.
And he later became an entertainer himself.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you a couple more.
Okay.
Here we go.
Reggie Man.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my co-hosts, Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan. And boy, they stumped up this one. Here's a trivia question from athlete to actor. An entertainer at heart, this former football player may never have broken into acting if not for an impressive performance in an Alan Alda movie. What professional football player was this? And I will tell you that he was in one episode, at least one episode, I think only one, in MASH.
Mm-hmm.
He was also in an episode of The Odd Couple. And you said Deacon Jones, who's also in the Odd Couple episode, but it's not him.
The Jack Klugman, Tony Randall Odd Couple?
Yes. Yeah, he was in an episode of that.
Not Ray Nitschke.
Nope. And in fact, I remember he was...
not Ben Davidson.
Not Ben Davidson.
Not Joe Cap.
I hit a guy so hard one time, I knocked his tattoos off.
Oh, Alex Karras.
Yes. You remember that episode
yes.
of The Odd Couple? That's
Alex
right.
Karras.
And
well, he was the star of it. He was the star of his own TV show.
That's right.
And then he was on Monday Night Football for a couple years too.
Yeah. And so if you remember the Alan Alda movie, Alan Alda played George Plimpton, right, in Paper Lion.
That's right.
1974.
That's right.
He played. Wow, what was his famous role?
He was a quarterback who was a writer.
I mean Alex Karras.
Alex Karras played himself.
No, but okay, I was thinking.
Oh, you're thinking of Blazing Saddles. Yeah. Alex Karras was actually kicked out of football for a year, along with Paul Hornung for gambling.
Early '60s.
In fact, he just died this year.
Yeah, he had some problems with, I think, Alzheimer's, and it was from all the hitting. He was just a vicious hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing. You would not want.
Didn't he have a one and done year with Monday Night Football?
No, he actually, I think he had 2 or 3 years,
okay.
and then he just kind of moved on to other things.
Yeah.
Nice guy. I've met him and interviewed him a couple of times. Very nice man.
Okay.
Good guy.
Let's see, moving on to baseball a little bit. Pablo Sandoval going to the Red Sox.
The beloved Panda escapes to Boston.
Good for the Red Sox, man.
Well, good for the Red Sox. Good for Panda.
Good for Panda.
Yeah,
you know what? He had nowhere the mountains to climb.
That's right.
What more did he have to do in the San Francisco market?
Nothing. And he's back. He's closer to home. He's going to get a chance to be a DH. He'll play in a hitting-friendly ballpark, which is Fenway's a much more hitting-friendly ballpark than AT&T. I think it's a great move for him.
Playing for one of the most storied franchises in sports, period. And you get to play against the Yankees, 19, 20 times?
The major, markets.
I think it's awesome. And as he gets older, he can DH.
I'm happy for him. I really am. I'm sorry to see him go because he really gave the Giants a lot of excitement on the field and just personality. But I mean, good for him.
Yeah, and you won't have to.
If I'm the Oakland A's, I'd look at the schedule and just find out when the Red Sox get here.
Speaking of the Oakland A's, what'd you make of the John Donaldson trade?
Josh
Donaldson. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of John Donaldson.
I think there is more. I think there is more beneath the surface than
there always is.
Than Billy Beane just doing what he does. There's 4 prospects, and it was just.
Well, he was only making $4.5 million a year for the next 2
years.
And
he was under contract still with the A's. He wasn't costing a major coin.
But then when he gets traded, the new organization picks up that contract.
Yeah,
that's
$4.5 million next year, and
which is cheap.
Yeah,
so that they can. That's good negotiating.
There's some story, and I don't know if it can be substantiated or not, but there's some story where right around or just before, or right after the All-Star break, allegedly, Josh Donaldson told Bo Mel, "Hey, look, I need a breather," and then Melvin said, "Okay, fine," and then he fills up the lineup card. Billy Beane gets a hold of it, and he's like, "Well, where's Donaldson?"
Yeah.
And then there was a meeting between
fur flew between those two.
Yeah, the fur flew between Donaldson, Billy Beane, and Melvin was just kind of the standby. He understood standby, whatever the word is. And Beane is not one of those kind of guys that takes that lightly.
Yeah.
But you think that a lot of times it seems the opposite. Players play when they're hurt, and they shouldn't be playing.
And he did play when he hurt.
He was.
He played a lot when he was hurt.
So if a guy is saying, "Listen, I need a breather," it's probably not just like
I
want a breather for 6 months. I mean, it's probably a game or
two.
two.
Who knows? I think the A's management, A's ownership, which is making tons of money. Lou Wolf and Donald Fisher, I think collectively are worth about $7 or $8 billion, and they're making a nice tidy profit. They are so lucky to have Beane cover for them, because they have not committed to the East Bay. They continue to denigrate that facility, which is not a good facility.
It's like the oldest one, isn't it?
Yeah, but still, they're drawing 2.5 million fans or close to it, which is not bad. And they continue to downsize that organization. And Billy Beane loves to tinker, and it makes him look like a genius. And he's got part of it. He's got a stake in it. They're lucky to have him. Scott Osler of the Chronicle, the San Francisco Chronicle, pointed that out. He says he's covering for them. He is.
Here it is, guys. Next May 11th, 12th, and 13th, Red Sox at the Oakland A's.
Ooh,
that'll be fun.
Well, that'll be interesting. Yeah.
And then Hanley Ramirez, he's also gone there too, isn't he?
Yeah,
good buddy of Pablo's. That was a great one. Well, the Red Sox. Let's face it, we've talked about this. That is a great baseball town. Maybe next to St. Louis, those two are the best, and New York. the best 3 baseball towns in America. And that's with all due respect to San Francisco. I mean, we have a lot of Johnny-come-latelys. I have to say, I'm a San Francisco native, and a lot of the fans, there are some really good fans. Don't get me wrong, most of them are. But these people that wear the panda hats and that, go out and party and are drinking the, $8 microbrews, and they're talking about, yeah, we're number 1. Where were they back in the days of Candlestick when the team was struggling?
You're used to seeing those panda hats at Fenway Park. We were talking about Josh Donaldson, July 21st, Blue Jays at the A's.
Yeah, interesting move, too. The A's got, was it Brett Lowry from the Blue Jays? As part of
your newest infielder.
Yeah, and he is a Canadian native who loved playing for the Canadian team. He said it was really disappointed to be traded. So Donaldson's disappointed. Lowry's disappointed. Hopefully they'll be happy in their new homes.
Well, I hope the Giants don't get Lester.
You don't like John Lester, huh?
Too much.
So disappointing.
But because of the cost?
No, not so much that. That is part of it.
They pitched well for the A's. Pitched well. He won 6
pitched well for the A's.
Yeah,
the only way you can knock him is the fact he could not hold runners on. He just didn't do it. That's just not part of his game.
And that's a major
in the
game.
in the National League, where teams run. Yeah.
I'd love to see him get Max Scherzer, to be honest with you. I think he's got more electric stuff.
Yeah, but he just turned down 6 years, $135 million.
Clayton Kershaw.
I think James Shields is more realistic, although they're kind of, he's sort of hot and cold.
But
they're going to have to get somebody because you think about it. Next year, Linson coming back. How good is he going to be? Kane's coming back. How good is he going to be? Bumgarner is going to have Hudson and Peavy still around. Vogelsong's probably gone. They got a lot of bodies, but how much talent outside of Bumgarner?
And I hate to say it, you know who we might see at spring training next year?
Who's that?
Barry Zito.
Oh my God! Yeah, he wants to come back.
He wants to make
and he'd come back for a bargain. Yeah. Well, hey, listen, the guy's got a live arm. And he pitched very well in 2012. I mean, without him, they don't go to the World Series.
Yeah, he did have that one major game.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Moving on here, did you guys hear about the Israeli cricket umpire who died after a ball came off a batsman's bat, hit the wicket, and struck him in the chest and neck?
Wow.
And apparently there's no protection for these umpires. And if you've ever seen that ball, I've actually never seen it in person.
It's a hard rubber ball.
It's a pretty hard rubber ball.
It's like a lacrosse ball.
Yeah.
Wow. It's hard. Yeah, if it hits you.
It's a shock, huh?
I'm wondering why these guys don't have protection.
Well, they will now, won't they?
Yeah, you should look
into it.
into it.
That's the first time.
Like the guy, the minor league coach who got hit with a line drive in the head and died. Now every coach has to wear a helmet.
Yeah, but you know what's so stupid about that? If you're right, let's see, hold on here. Okay, if you're left-handed,
right,
you would have but basically, let me put it this way: the helmet should had flaps on both sides,
right?
But they don't.
Well, they have it
on one side.
Yeah, they have it on the side facing the batter, I guess. But theoretically, you could be turned the other way all of a sudden, and the ball.
Yeah. But no,
you.
okay. So actually, that's what I'm getting at. Okay,
yeah.
So I've seen a lot of third base coaches who are right-handed,
right,
and they have where the flap is on the left ear,
right.
So they're exposed to the batter.
Right.
It's
okay.
maybe you get hit on the top of the head.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea is to protect the temple.
Yeah.
Kind of silly. Okay. Moving on here, 737 consecutive games played by Blues defenseman Jay Bouwmeester. I hope I pronounced that right. Longest active streak in the 4 major sports, dating back to March 6th, 2004.
If you didn't pronounce that right, you'd be getting a letter from some fans in St. Louis.
No, that's pretty amazing.
That is
since
amazing.
He plays hockey.
Yeah.
I wonder what his secret is.
Just good, clean living, good genes, luck.
And don't get involved in any fights.
Yeah, there you go. Stay away when the fights.
That's a good point.
Yeah, when the fights start, you go over to the side and take a
right, and have a latte.
Yeah, have a latte.
Okay.
Pumpkin spice.
Work for Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he didn't get any.
Oh yeah, I think maybe one in his career.
One time I remember a player tried to mug him, and the other guys on his team went after that guy and pummeled him.
Well, it's interesting. You think about that. It's the same thing. It's like Barry Bonds when he was hitting. How many guys were nervous to throw inside just because it was Barry Bonds and what the repercussions might be?
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Well, they did throw at Andrew McCutcheon.
Oh yeah.
As a retaliation, so that's interesting. And $10 per hour. That's what the Bills were offering to help in shoveling snow from the stadium. And they decided to move the game anyway. That's kind of wild, man.
What was that? 6 days after the storm too? They couldn't clear the stadium in 6 days or 5 days?
Weren't they hit hard with another storm?
Oh, was it another one? Right. Okay. No, I didn't know
that was the issue.
Okay.
So why don't
Yeah,
they just
and then you had people died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
That part of New York, it's almost like living in Siberia sometimes. It really is. I don't know if you've been in that.
Well, no, I have.
Yeah.
I haven't been up to upstate New York.
Oh.
Well, actually, no. I went to Cooperstown.
Yeah. That's some
Just-
wild times
just
there.
to show how idiotic I am and to show how cold it was in Buffalo. This is 1993. This is for Joe Montana's last game as a pro. So this is
Kansas City.
Oh, yeah,
AFC Championship game.
yeah.
Chiefs at the Bills.
You were at that game?
I stripped down to my underwear and ran around Rich Stadium.
For your Mr. Involvement.
Yeah, just
segment.
to show, hey, just to show how nuts I am.
Okay.
Man, it was
Did you have
brutal.
did you have a hat on?
No, I took everything off except for my boots.
You should have. What a wuss, man! You should have had bare feet.
What was interesting
I
about
got
that?
my
What
boots.
was interesting about that day? Everybody was rooting because I was down in Dallas with the 49ers. They were playing the Cowboys. Everybody was rooting for Steve Young to beat the Cowboys, Montana to beat the Bills, and Montana and Young
That's
to beat
why.
the.
That's why I was in Buffalo
Yeah.
because the Chiefs and the Niners were on a collision course.
Yeah. That would
To
have
meet
been,
in the Super Bowl.
wouldn't it have been something? And of course, they did play against each other. You remember? I think it was.
Regular season. Yeah.
It was the next year, and the Chiefs won that game. But of course, the Niners went on to win the Super Bowl. So.
I want to get back to this. So that was, what's funny? The coldest I ever was, and I'm serious about this, was Disney World.
Really?
Yes, it was 0
In
degrees.
Florida?
Yeah.
In Orlando, Florida?
Wow.
A freeze hit the East Coast, and people
Huh.
there couldn't even get to Boston because they closed
Wow.
the airport. So you know
Wow.
it was pretty bad.
Please come to Orlando.
Well, they're not prepared for that.
No. But so tell me about this being that because that's
We
gonna be
did a piece on it's so cold that and then we just go up and just use sound bites from just random people about how Montana's going to hit it so hard it'll just break up like ice and this that and the other. But it was brutal. It was just brutally.
How cold
cold.
was it degrees?
It was in the it was in the single digits,
And
that was before the wind chill.
that's a major part.
Yeah.
How long were you uncovered? Let's call it.
About how long does it take to do one lap around the
That's a long time.
first section of Rich State? A couple minutes, maybe.
That's pretty amazing. I'm impressed.
Yeah, that was.
Well,
Wow.
two games that might have been colder
It
than
was
that.
cold.
Might have been
Last year.
was the famous game Green
The
Bay
Ice
versus
Bowl.
Dallas, the
The
Ice Bowl,
Bowl.
and then the
1965.
And then last year, they almost broke the record. The 49ers in Green Bay, I think.
Yeah, they had a cold one, but I'm thinking of the Raiders versus Cleveland, 0 degrees, and the wind is whipping off of Lake Erie at 40 miles an hour. When
Holy
Cleveland was
smokes.
playing the Raiders in the playoffs in 1980.
Wow.
Okay,
Imagine
coming
that.
to our third commercial break here. Again, the theme is from athlete to actor. So far, you guys are.
Speaking of
Why-
Cleveland,
Wait, hold on. Wait, can you hold on to that? Because we got to get.
Hoyer or Manziel?
Oh,
We'll get into that.
All right.
Okay. What power-hitting outfielder played a small but pivotal role in the 1988 action movie spoof, The Naked Gun? The first three emails with the correct answer won a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. You know, if I would have said Major League, there would have been a lot of players.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
but- Okay. What power-hitting outfielder played a small but pivotal role in the 1988 action movie spoof, The Naked Gun? Stay with us. We're going to have some closing comments on Sports Econ 101.
88.
Yeah, the Naked Gun is the one with Leslie Nielsen,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I'm always thinking of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar
Detective
as the
Frank
pilot.
Drebin.
I think he was in Airplane.
Airplane,
Yeah.
okay.
And this guy is a Hall of Famer.
Power hitting outfielder in the 80s.
God,
Wow.
I'm going to guess just Dave Winfield because I can't think of anybody else.
That's a good guess. Another one of the good guys. Always like Dave Winfield.
Mhm.
Great guy.
Andre Dawson too. Is he?
Very nice guy. A little more low key. Nice guy. Always agreeable, but
Wasn't
not as-
Dave Winfield drafted in the NFL, the NBA,
That's right.
and Major League
Yeah, he
Baseball?
played all three sports in college.
Yeah.
I remember the Sports Illustrated
Big guy.
article where Eric Shaw had, I think he knocked him out.
Yeah.
He just this pitch. Was that Andre Dawson? That was Andre Dawson. Not Dave Winfield.
Andre Dawson was terrific.
Yeah,
It's too bad he played kind of an obscurity and for some lousy teams because he was. Anyway,
Remember the commercial? I forget what it was for. The guy,
Oh, in
that
yeah,
guy's pulling
Ivy.
shit out of the Ivy.
there,
Yeah.
there
Pulls
comes
out
Andre
Andre
Dawson.
Dawson.
Yeah, that was great.
What year is this?
Yeah.
What year is it?
So funny. I
1987.
love that guy.
Remember he won MVP in '87 with a team that sucked, and that was kind of unprecedented.
Montreal.
Yeah, with the Cubbies, '87.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
he played for
Yeah.
That's right. Played for Montreal first, though.
He did.
Yeah.
He and they had Ellis Valentine and him. Ellis Valentine, meanest guy in the world, used to sit in the back of the bus and smoke a cigarette And if the manager had the no smoking thing, the manager went back and told him, he goes, "Fuck you" to the manager. The manager just was like, "Oh," and he used to carry a gun. He was like the nastiest, biggest dude.
Really?
And Warren Cromartie, that's outfield. What a great outfield. Warren Cromartie, Ellis Valentine, and Cromartie was a big star over in Japan after he left the major leagues. Big star.
See, I can't imagine swearing at my manager.
I think they had a little problem to begin with.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll close up with
Well, if you
your
swear over your manager, you must have a guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
That was it. I think that was the deal.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Sports Econ 101 is continuing. We're going to close out the show here. We got Edward Brown and Bert Glenn and Bruce McGowan. Third trivia question: what power-hitting outfielder played a small but pivotal role in the 1988 action movie spoof 'The Naked Gun"?
I'm guessing Dave Winfield.
No, but he did play for
The New York Yankees.
Reggie Jackson.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go. Now we're gonna close out the show. You're gonna mention Johnny Manziel.
Well, he came in against the Bills last week and led a nice little 80-yard drive, and scored the touchdown, did a little money maker, little thing. I'm just fascinated by it. But Patton's got some decisions to make on who you start as quarterback, because it is uphill this week for Cleveland, and they're almost in must-win mode. So
you're in a possible playoff situation. So maybe you go with the veteran, but Manziel is their quarterback for the future. So it's a tough call.
Tough call. Maybe trade Hoyer?
I don't know. That's an awful lot of. That's an awful lot of heat on it. But I mean, they got the Colts coming in, so you're not going to win that game, even though it's a home game.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop the Colts. And he's the Cleveland brand. He's the homegrown St. Ignatius High School, Cleveland, Ohio guy. That's that they've just rallied behind. So but there's going to be some pivotal. There's a lot of 7-5 teams that are going to be outside looking in.
And the 49ers are one of them.
You better win out, because a lot of teams have improved. The Cowboys are up there. I would say Green Bay, just on the strength of them beating New England, they're probably number one in the power rankings.
All right, guys, we'll continue this next week. All right. Here's our thoughts for the day. A bowling pin only needs to tilt 7.5 degrees to fall down, and it's still hard to knock them all down.
I always think of Humpty Dumpty when I think of a bowling pin. Wobble, wobble.
And the actual playing time in a Major League Baseball game, which lasts 2.5 hours, has been clocked at 9 minutes and 55 seconds.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yep.
Our two favorite sports in America, football, baseball. There's a lot of standing around. Yeah.
All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101, because we're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and giving away more free vacations for answering sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
All right.